Welcome to the Six Figure Business Mastery Podcast, where every week, Kirsten and Jeannie dive into the essential topics to fuel your business growth. From copywriting to course creation, mindset to video marketing, they've got you covered. Tune in for expert guest interviews on all things marketing and business, and learn how to work on your business, not just in it. So, get ready to unlock your business potential and take it to the next level.
So today we're going to talk about launching your podcast.
I think just talking about if someone wants to start a podcast, like what do they really need? Because sometimes I think we overthink it, right? Everyone knows that I'm not a tech person, so it has to be the path of least resistance for me. So what does someone need just to get started with a basic podcast?
Great question, because you can go as low as just using your own already smartphone that you have at your house, and you can record in your closet or you can record in your car and just start talking. So you can do it just as simply and easily as that. Or you can go a little bit more high end, which will bring you richer, deeper, amazing audio and set it up with a microphone. You can have a boom arm and then you can have headphones. I do always recommend headphones regardless if you're doing an interview. And most of my clients do a lot of interviews just in Zoom, just like this. You can do solos with free software such as GarageBand or Audacity, but you can also just use Zoom and just record right there. So you don't have to have a ton of really expensive equipment in order to get started. It can be just as cheap as your smartphone you already have.
I want to ask you though, you need to explain to people why they might be in the closet. Who hasn't even attempted that is going to go, why am I in the closet?
Yes, great point. Here's the thing. A lot of times houses nowadays have a lot of hard walls, or they definitely have most people aren't in padded rooms. People are in rooms and they have hardwood floors. They have definitely walls with either wood or drywall or something like that. And so what's going to happen is the audio is going to bounce off of that, right? In a room or in a closet. So the other option would be to record in your bedroom, but nobody really wants to show people their bedroom if they're doing an interview. Although closet could be weird in an interview too, but what you want to do is just have it so that you are absorbing that sound. So you can absorb the sound with all of the clothes in your closet, or you can absorb the sound with something like acoustic panels. And I've got some right here that I just bought. So when I padded walls, later on, I'm having padded walls.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, because the cloth just makes your voice a lot richer and yeah.
And so it's just not bouncing off of those hard surfaces, coming back and hitting the microphone again, and then just making you sound echoey or have reverb. So that's that sound. If you've ever been to a concert, you hear that's a reverb. Yeah.
So you can tell a different sound quality. I am in a bedroom, so there's carpeting and there's drapery and there's a bed in front of me, but there's definitely hard things behind me.
It depends on the type of microphone you have too. So I'm using an ATR 2100, which I know Jeannie is using as well. And then there are other ones that actually absorb a lot more of the ambient sound around you. The big one that everybody talks about is that Yeti. But the problem is it really gets all of the sound around. So if you have a window, which I do, have a window close to you, and the sound bounces off of that, it's going to get picked up at the back side of that Yeti, and you're still going to get a little bit of that echo. So you definitely want to make sure that you have the right microphone for your right environment.
Okay. So now that we've covered, start with what you have and put yourself in the closet. Let's talk about content, because that's always the other thing. It's the same for us when people are creating YouTube videos. They always, what do I talk about? So I'm sure you get the same question. So what is your answer when someone wants to start a podcast?
I always say go to some place and sit down and just write down 10 things that you can talk about your business. Just add those 10 things to a sheet, whether or not you are at the library, at your local brewery, whatever, wherever you're comfortable, and you're just writing it down, your coffee shop, whatever. Write down those 10 things right off the top of your list about your business, about what you do, and just write them down. I guarantee you each one of those items can probably be broken down to even more items. And that means that your 10 items that you wrote, which would be your 10 first episodes, if you break them down, can now maybe make 15 or 20 or more episodes. So you could have a whole season already done just by thinking about the things that you do in your own business.
A lot of people overthink it when they think that they have to tell you everything in that first episode. I feel like a lot of times you could just go back to the basics or go back to the simple, to the start. And because sometimes that's as much as people need.
I think we forget that people don't know all the things we know, right? So some of the most basic things are things that people are interested in. And we just forget, just like talking about going to the closet to have great sound quality, but it's things that it's practical advice. And so one of the other things that I like to think about when it comes to content is every single question a prospect or customer or client asks you, that's probably telling you that other people would have that question. And so that could maybe be an episode or part of an episode. And so I think as business owners, we really sell ourselves short on how much information we do have inside our brains. And we also forget, like Jean said, just go back to the basics.
Yeah. A lot of times we know it, right? So we're comfortable and we're like, hey, doesn't everybody know this? Doesn't everybody know why you should be in the closet? But then when somebody says to you, no, I have no idea. Why am I in the closet to record? That's when you realize, I didn't follow through with answering that. A perfect example for this in regards to tell me more. Why should I be in the closet? And that's exactly it. I just assume I know why I should be in the closet. So now let me tell you why you should be.
We're just talking about the podcasting reason today.
Oh, so many good facts.
Yeah. So now we talked about where and how to record, and we talked about topics. The next thing is, how do I upload my podcast? Where do I go to do that? Do I have to go to Apple? Do I have to go to, where do I go? What do I do? So what would be your advice to that next step of uploading your podcast?
Yeah, so there are a couple of different hosting platforms, and that's the important thing to note is there's two different types of platforms that I'll talk about here. One is hosting. That's where you're going to put your audio, and your audio is going to live there. And the other one is distribution platforms. And distribution platforms are actually platforms such as Apple, Spotify, Google, and there's probably 97 more of them that are just smaller. Where the hosting platform is, my suggestion is always Captivate. I absolutely love Captivate, but there's others like Buzzsprout, Libsyn. I think there's Spotify for podcasters now, probably 25, 50 of those as well. And that is the platform that you're going to upload your audio to. And a lot of times you're probably going to pay for that service. That's where you'll put your show notes in there, you'll put your title in there, and you'll just make sure that everything about your podcast is in that particular platform. Now, when you launch your platform, you're going to set up the Apple and your Google and your Spotify, and that is a one-time deal. You don't have to do it any other times. Just do it the once. And then once you have done that, they will pick up that audio from your host, and then all the little other ones will pick it up from either Apple, Spotify, or Google. So it's just hosting and then distribution.
You need to go to Apple to set up an account, or is your hosting like your Captivate company? Do you connect through Captivate?
Great question, because if you get into Captivate, it's going to say, Apple, click here to distribute. And you can, but it's not going to do it. You do need to set up an Apple, I should say, if you have an Apple phone, Apple device of some kind, you probably have an iTunes account. That is the account that you're going to use. And then what you're going to do is you're going to log in to it's Podcast Connect, I believe, app.apple.com. And then what you'll do is you'll set up your podcast directly right in there. It's been like a month since I've done one. Let's see, literally just a month. But you'll upload your audio. You'll upload your cover art, and then you will upload your podcast description. You'll also choose what kind of category your podcast will fit into. So whether or not it's like business or lifestyle or sports, they have podcasts for everything, true crime, all of that. And then what'll happen is you'll hit the accept or publish button there. And they will send you an email in about 2 days or so, maybe longer, maybe shorter, depending on how much they have. And they'll tell you that it's been accepted, and you have to log back in one more time and just hit OK, and then it will go live forever. So Apple is the most confusing one. Spotify is just simple and easy. We'll send you an email right away and then you're up. And then also the same with Google. You just log in to Google for Podcasters. I can't remember the links right off the top of my head, but I can give you them if you need them. And you would just go right there and you would set up your account and have your podcast up on there.
The Captivate, so we've got YouTube. Obviously, YouTube has a podcast and it's a podcasting platform and it's free. But for basic podcasting distribution, because YouTube doesn't do that for you. So what I think you were telling us earlier, the average, like the lower package is like $19, but you said it has all kinds of other features. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I absolutely love Captivate, not sponsored. And I will just tell you that they do everything soup to nuts. The best thing that I have found about Captivate is you can actually start monetizing your podcast from day one. And that is in the form of creating ads and selling ads from other people, or that also could be releasing your podcast early, or even just a private podcast that's behind a paywall. So you can have multiple podcasts on that one first tier at Captivate. And sometimes that you may have a course and you're like, I just want to be able to give this course as an audio to my clients. But that's behind a paywall. I don't want everybody to have it. So you can do that with Captivate. Captivate also has the access to have a website. So it's a very simple website, but still a good website if you needed one. And then also guest management. You can have attribution links on there, dynamic ads on there. You can have all sorts of different show note information on. Oh my gosh, it's so many things. It is so powerful. There's a network of people that are on there that can help you too. And they even have a little mini course right inside that if you're like, I don't know what she's talking about, there's a course that can walk you right through it, right? All in the Captivate platform. So I love it.
I love it. And you said it's about $19 a month. So if someone didn't really want to invest that money right off the bat, maybe they're just getting started with their podcast, they're not sure if they're going to like it. Is there a free way for them to do that?
Yeah, actually, I believe Spotify by Podcasters or Podcasters for Spotify, one of the two, does do a free version. It used to be called Anchor. So if anybody has heard of Anchor, it used to be called that. It's now rebranded to a different name. And they do allow you to have free podcasting up there. There probably are some sort of things that you might want to look at if that's the case, such as they might put an ad that doesn't align with your brand inside of it, or maybe they own some of your audio. I'm not quite sure what the difference is there, but I know when you pay for your hosting, you own your audio, you have all full control of the ads that are in it. But there are definitely an option of having it free. And then some other platforms have cheaper versions too. Libsyn has an $8 account one, $8 a month. And I know Buzzsprout has a $12 a month one as well. So there are other options than the Captivate.
And for those of you who like you're going to use your phone and you're going to go in your closet now that you know why, and you just want to use something free because you just want to not invest money until you're sure you want to do this, there's absolutely a way to do that. So that's the other thing that we really love about creating YouTube videos and podcasting is it basically is zero cost of entry other than your time. You just have to show up, which I think is fantastic. And then if you have the resources or you want to invest in your podcast, then you have opportunities for a microphone or to pad your walls or to pay for a great service. So there's really a place for everyone in the podcasting space.
There really is. And it can be, just like you said, it can be as inexpensive or you can go really like super high quality. I know some people that have actually rented podcasting studios to record in, and they've done like an entire season right inside the studio. So you could do that if you really wanted to go high end with your audio. So there's so many different avenues. There's not really any right or wrong way to have a podcast. So that's kind of like the beauty of it. Yeah.
And we always like to say, like Kirsten says, a path of least resistance. So whatever it's going to take for you to get started, because you're always going to know, you have to know that whether it's video or podcasting, your first ones are not going to be your best ones, but you're only going to get better at some things like this by doing that over and over again. And then you get into a groove and all of a sudden it's, wow, this is fun. This is not nearly as hard as I thought it was.
Yep.
And we had one of our clients like comment on how much we've improved. I think it's a compliment, right? So she's, you guys have come so far. I'm like, thank you. We're trying to get better because again, like learning to interview someone is not something like we were taught in school, right? So you're just trying to figure out how to do this. And like Jeannie said, you just have to jump in and give it a go and learn as you do it. I think that's the cool thing about business owners, right? Like business owners are brave and they're willing to jump in and try things they've never tried. They're willing to learn things as they go. And I think when it comes to whether you're creating a YouTube channel or a podcast for your business, it really is about just providing value, creating content that is going to help your ideal client and show them that they can trust you and that they can build, they can learn to know you, get to know you and like you. And that's going to make them more likely to want to work with you. So I think that business owners are so brave. So if you're thinking about a podcast, you can do it, I promise.
Yeah. I have a client and she calls it imperfect action. And I think that is exactly what it is.
And I think especially now that there are so many more people on podcasts and doing video and stuff, that it used to be that you had to have everything perfect and wearing the perfect outfit and the perfect hair. And I think people like the more natural and people messing up and on video or on audio. And so it just makes you more real and somebody that it does earn their trust by doing that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with having the little blurps in there. We actually take out a lot of the ums and ahs because you'd be surprised at how often you say them. But at the same time, we leave some of them in because it's natural speaking. And that's what you're always trying to achieve is ultimately you want your listener to pay attention to your words and your vision and what your message is. And you don't want to distract them with in between each one. But those are easy to remove so you can get there.
I think that's a good point. So when you first listen to yourself, you're like, oh, I'm so stupid. I can't believe I did that. I said, like 20 times. Guess what? You're normal. And so don't beat yourself up. Again, it's just a lot of times it's how we speak. But I do think when you first, whether it's watching your first few videos or listening to your first few podcasts, it's very easy to think you're the only person on the planet that sucks as much as you do, or that your voice is horrible. You hate your voice. We hear that all the time. But we don't sound the same to other people's. There was a guy, I always love telling this story. Our friend Michelle went to a conference, and this has been like 15 years ago. So we're dating ourselves. But they were talking about video marketing, and it was a conference for lawyers. And so the guy at the front of the podium talking about video marketing, he basically said, I'm not going to use the exact words he said, as far as putting yourself on video, putting yourself out there, is he said, has anyone ever walked into your office and said, oh my God, you're so butt ugly, I can't work with you, and turned around and walked out? But sometimes I think when we're going to create a video or something, we think that people are going to judge us so harshly. But again, they're just interested in the information that you're providing. And they're interested in, do you really care about them?
Yeah, so true. And so good that it's the message that you want to get out there, which is why you started the podcast or your YouTube channel to begin with, right? It's that message you want to get out there that's really the important part of it. And how you deliver that and how you get that to them is actually more important than what kind of microphone you have or what kind of headphones you have or how you record or any of that. If you are walking in your backyard and you want to record, it may not be the greatest sounding, but if you had an epiphany and such an amazing message, it may be exactly what somebody needs to hear that day. You never know.
And I would say one last thought is that you can always upgrade. It starts making you some more money, then buy a nice microphone, then buy some headphones. And it can be a gradual update. It doesn't have to be all or nothing.
Very true. Yep.
So what would your last piece of advice just overall for someone who's thinking about starting a podcast?
It is not as difficult as you think it is. It really isn't. It's very simple and easy to do. If you are a talker, if you know what you are doing in your business and you have a message, just start recording. And you can even start recording now and not even launch them for a couple of months from now. Just start getting that messages out into the world or out into recorded so that you can get them out into the world at a later date. So, yeah.
Love that. Now, you've got a challenge coming up or something like that?
I do. So I have a Launch Your Podcast challenge that I am hosting. I'm going to walk you through it step by step. You get a little workbook, and every day we go through all of the different steps and all of the different pieces that you might need. It's an hour a day, and I tell you some stories. I give you some ideas, some different tidbits about it. And we just kind of walk you through the challenge of how you can launch your own podcast. And we even go over at the end, there's a Q&A if you had any questions or anything that you might have missed. And we just go over all of that for you. So I just offer it as a free challenge. All you need to do is sign up and then come on over and just learn and see if podcasting is right for you. And then also see how easy it is to do, which is the beauty of it.
So what link should they use if they want to sign up for your challenge?
So you're going to go to kpcreativemedia.com/challenge-checklist. And so that is going to be how you're going to get into that. You're actually going to get a checklist first. So if in the event you never make it to the challenge, you at least have the checklist of what you need to do to get started. And then you will get into a funnel, which will bring you to a couple of automation emails to remind you of when the challenge starts. And then we just go right through and we go over everything, soup to nuts, all of the platforms that we talked about, your show notes, the recording, your intro, your outro, your trailer. And I know it sounds like a lot, but we just go over it and then you make the decision on what is most important to you in your business on what you need to do. So
we'll provide a link for that. Now, Jeannie, is this the challenge you did?
I did, and it is amazing. And I was so grateful to have so much access to Kim because I had some questions that didn't come up. And I asked her, and she would pop on a live video to answer them for everyone. And it's totally worth it. There's just so many little tiny things that you can do to make it better or to make it easier. And it's not until you have someone in front of you like Kim who can tell you how to do that instead of you figuring out, oh, shoot, I should have done that instead. So totally worth it. I may get to sign up for it.
We'd love to have you.
Yeah, I'll check the dates and see if it works with my crazy schedule. But yeah, so for all of you, we will put the link for that. And Kim, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. We always enjoy chatting with you. And I'm sure hopefully we'll have you back in the future. All right, ladies, you guys both have a great afternoon. Jeannie, I'll see you in a few minutes.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Six Figure Business Mastery Podcast. If you enjoyed listening to this episode and you are ready to leverage video marketing on all online platforms, or maybe even start your own video podcast, then you need to check out the Done For You and Done With You program at themarketingvaadvantage.com and take your business to the next level.